In Vedic teachings, the magical and transformative fluid, Amrita, is said to leak from the head center when the inner eye is opened. The concept of Amrita is a fascinating subject, rich with mythological, philosophical, and physiological significance. The nectar of immortality, Amrita, is a central element in Vedic stories, particularly in the tale of the churning of the ocean, known as Samudra Manthan in the ancient Sanskrit language. In this ancient text, the gods churn the milk-like oceans in search of the magical rejuvenating substance, Amrita. In Vedic lore, Amrita is more than just a mythical substance. It represents the ultimate goal of life, which is to attain a state of immortality in the spiritual rather than physical sense. The gods stirring and churning the primordial ocean in search of Amrita provides us with a metaphor for the spiritual quest for eternal truth, bliss, and the true potential of the human being. The quest for Amrita is often seen as an analogy for humanity's aspiration to transcend the confines of mortality and achieve everlasting life as spirit. This quest is represented in numerous Vedic rituals and practices designed to harmonize the human soul with the eternal and sacred laws of the cosmos. The philosophical roots of Amrita in Vedic thought are profound. Amrita's concept is closely linked with the soul's journey and the cycles of birth and rebirth. It represents the pursuit of ultimate liberation, moksha, wherein the soul escapes the cycle of samsara and attains a state of eternal bliss and enlightenment. On a physiological level, Amrita is said to be a transformative substance that can be obtained through the ancient practices of self-mastery. In yogic teachings, the practice of Kekari Mudra describes the cutting of the tongue to enable the adherent to stimulate, taste, and enhance the flow of Amrita from the base of the skull. A Hatha Yoga text, the Kekari Vidya, states that Kekari Mudra enables one to raise Kundalini and access various stores of Amrita in the head, which subsequently flood the body. Another text states, licking with his tongue the supreme nectar of immortality, Amrita, flowing there, the yogi should drink, and with a body as incorruptible as diamond, they live for 100,000 years. This is obviously not an advertisement for the cutting of the tongue or any other form of self-mutilation, but rather an attempt to highlight the location from which the sacred fluid flows and the evidence of its utilization within the body in ancient times. The Amrita comes from the head center and may well be the electrified cerebral spinal fluid. Leaking through the porous cribriform plate into the esophagus, the adherent swallows the Amrita into the belly, where it is then processed and circulated around the body. In ancient Greece, Ambrosia was the legendary food of the gods, shrouded in the enigma of mythological lore. Comparable to the Vedic Amrita, it was thought to bestow immortality and perpetual youth on those lucky enough to partake of it. The ambrosia, or nectar of the gods, was said to be reserved solely for the divine deities and demigods. Mortals were generally forbidden from its knowledge and its use, and Greek legends often highlighted the consequences for those who attempted to go beyond this sacred boundary. The myth of Tantalus illustrates the error of hubris and its repercussions. In one of the stories of Tantalus, he tries to steal ambrosia from the gods and is punished in the depths of Tartarus by being surrounded by food and drink that he could never consume. Interestingly, this is where we get our English term to tantalize. In contrast to Tantalus, the Greek hero Heracles is given ambrosia by Athena, thus marking his acceptance into the divine realm and highlighting the substance's role in the transformation from mortality to divinity. Ambrosia's transformative power is also evident in one of the legends of Achilles. In this telling of the tale, Achilles' mother, Thetis, anoints him with ambrosia by day and passes him through fire at night to burn away his mortality. This story exemplifies the potential of ambrosia to alter one's being, replacing mortal blood with ichor, the golden fluid that flowed in the veins of the gods. The role of ambrosia in Greek mythology is synonymous with the concept of Amrita in the Vedic teachings. It symbolizes humanity's fascination with immortality and the divine, representing the striving for transcendence and the search for a substance that can elevate one's existence to the realm of the gods. The myths surrounding ambrosia captivate the imagination and provide us with an allegory that can be interpreted in many ways. In the anatomical allegory, the ambrosia, amrita, or nectar of the gods is the electrified cerebral spinal fluid, heightened and stimulated by creative energy conservation and creative energy work. This vital fluid is said to leak through the porous cribriform plate at the base of the skull when the nervous system and head center is awakened. The magical and transformative liquid then begins its journey down the esophagus and into the belly, where it is transmuted and circulated by the body's various systems. This is the hero's brew of old, the drink of the champions of self-mastery, and the very sustenance of the gods themselves. The secretions from the nasal mucosa and nasal conchae are another possible source for the sacred flow. When the creative energy is conserved and circulated correctly, the oils and fluids of the body begin to flow more freely, and these liquids too are thought to be enlivened with beneficial elements and energies. The cribriform plate is a crucial structure located at the base of the skull. It acts as an important connection point between the outside world and the brain through the olfactory system, our sense of smell. This porous partition is composed of compact bone and contains many small holes called foramina. These foramina allow the delicate olfactory nerve fibers to pass from the nasal cavity to the olfactory bulbs located just above. The plate's location forms the roof of the nasal cavity and lies beneath the frontal and ethmoid bones. Its proximity to the brain, pituitary gland, cavernous sinuses, and hypothalamus makes it an ideal vent for the pressurized and activated cerebral spinal fluid, or the amrita. From the perspective of the ancient yogis, masters, and adepts of all traditions, this porous bone at the base of the skull must have been an ideal candidate for the access and egress point of the transformative nectar of the gods, the ambrosia, the magical amrita. There is another Greek legend that tells of the handsome cupbearer of the gods, Aquarius, who is tasked to serve the Greek deities with their restorative brew, the nectar. In the heavens, the constellation of Aquarius spills the waters, and in the age of Aquarius, the ancient knowledge once again begins to flow. And like the return of the rains after a long drought, the old wisdom brings fertile ground for the body, mind, and spirit. In the anatomical allegory, these are the waters of the awakened human nervous system, restored, renewed, and reborn.